Alright, so we are back once again, and today we're going to be talking about prospective DD players. If you're thinking about getting into playing DDs, this video might be for you. It might not. You may think I'm an absolute idiot, and that's all too common too. But if you're actually thinking about playing DDs seriously, then I can recommend no better line than the US DD line. And specifically today, we're going to be talking about the gearing, but this generally applies to most USDDs. You see, the unique thing about USDDs is that they're versatile. You can pretty much play them in pretty much any way you want. When I say any way you want, they can double up as torpedo boats if you really need them. I mean, the gearing itself has 16.5 kilometer torps. It does have other ones, but I find the 16.5 kilometer torps tend to be the ones I can use most consistently. If you don't want to play it as a torpedo boat, or if your torpedo boat or your torpedo tubes get knocked out, you can also play it as just a pure gunboat. Not completely unlike things like UK DDs. But it doesn't come with the kind of gimmickiness of those short duration smokes, so you're even getting more bang for your buck there. Now we do bump into a Holland here, and as luck would have it, our Yu-Yang, or the enemy Yu-Yang, decides to walk into one of our torpedoes. So, not saying that's going to happen every game, but generally that's one of the upsides of USDDs. You have that versatility, you can be proactive in many different ways, and as a result of being proactive in many different ways, you learn a hell of a lot, basically from every single game you play. This isn't something you're going to get when you play European DDs, or if you play the Shimakaze line or the IGN DD line. Generally those ships' lines are very specific in one very strict aspect of the game, be it being played as a torpedo boat, or being played as like a gunboat if you're looking at something like the Kaba. With the gearing though, for a first DD line, it's perfect. Again, it doesn't even fall into the trap of being an overpowered mess, and so you don't get this really inflated sense of ego that you would with other DDs when you play them. Again, this isn't like you're playing the Daring or something, or even the Kleber or Marceau, something like that, which can kind of distort your view of what good play is. Because of the fact that you're playing a really strong ship, it can make you think that you're actually playing well when actually you're playing badly, but the ship's absolute strength is actually covering for your bad plays. And so playing an underpowered ship is something I would actually recommend new players do. Again, you can also balance this out by playing stronger ships so you don't actually lose that sense of motivation of being slapped in the face every time you decide to play a weak ship and you don't have all that much experience on it. It can become demotivating. So again, everything with balance, much like the USDD line. Now I've spoken a little bit about how the gearing fares, but generally when you first start playing DDs, you're not going to be playing a tier 10, you're going to be playing the lower tiers. But this even applies to lower tiers of USDDs, things like the Fletcher, things like the Benson. These ships are still very, very versatile and very, very consistent, which strangely enough is something I never really found with other DD lines. Maybe it's due to the fact that, the gearing and the USDD line has been out for so long, so it's, stood the test of time to an extent. But this line is incredibly consistent, and it's something that you can always go back to. You never really lose that sense of, whenever I play the gearing, it always feels like I'm playing the quintessential DD. Whereas sometimes when you play other DDs, you can feel like it's very gimmicky and very kind of esoteric. But with that being said, we do end up killing the enemy Yu-Yang, and the Holland goes down too as a side effect. But like all good players, and all good DD players, our main focus is on the caps and defending the caps that we have and hunting down enemy DDs. And so, what better way to do that? Looking at the enemy DDs that are left, 2 Shimakazes, and realizing that I have about 7,000 HP, which means I can entertain a 1v1 with 1 Shimakaze, but 2 might be a bit of a stretch. And here's another strength. The fact that, alright, I have long duration smoke. The Shimakaze Shimakaze weaknesses makes it a very, very bad DD to engage in this kind of knife fight, shall we say. Sure, it has smoke, but what's it going to do in smoke? It's a torpedo boat. It doesn't really have the utility that I have when I utilize my smoke. And so, as a result, I have the versatility to both abandon my smoke or sit in it, where the Shimakaze realistically should be aware of the fact that the torpedoes coming at him and should be abandoning his smoke. His smoke isn't really necessary for him to achieve his mission in the game, shall we say. But as luck would have it, he decides to stick in his smoke and ends up going down as a result. Now at this point I make a mistake, and well, if you're playing DDs for the first time, you'll make plenty too. And well, honestly, every game I play feels like the first game I play in a DD. But we bump into the enemy Shimakaze, and usually this fight would be fine to take. If he was, say, half HP, I would feel fairly confident about taking him on in a 1v1. But I realized too late that I'm just way too low to engage in this, and well, with the focus of the enemy ships on me, both the Hindenburg and the Worcester, it doesn't end all that well. But with that being said, we do get 2 kills, we do get about 50k damage, but the damage isn't all that important here. It's the fact that we defended the caps for a significant amount of time, we've got 2 of them, and we're up on points. And we, again, limited the enemy DD's effectiveness throughout the entirety of the game. That's what you're aiming for when you're playing DDs. Not necessarily high damage, but high impact. Anyways, we do end up, I think, going on to win this game. Now you wouldn't think that based on how far out my team are positioned, but we do end up winning. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and if you're looking for a DD line to grind for your very first line, I'd highly recommend the US DD line. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.